Welcome to Leveling Up with Lindsay, the podcast where we dive into leadership, small business, and everything in between. I'm Lindsay, your host and the proud owner of White Peony Boutique, a space created to empower women, build confidence, and foster meaningful connections. Whether you're an entrepreneur, a mom, a friend, or someone just looking for a little inspiration, this is your space to feel seen, supported, and inspired. Join me as we share stories, strategies, and a little bit of life's chaos while navigating what it truly means to level up in starting a business, relationship, and personal growth. So grab a cup of coffee, get comfy, and let's level up together. Today's guest is not only one of my closest friends, she is one of the most inspiring individuals I've ever had the privilege of walking alongside. Mandi Moon is a powerhouse, a brand consultant, a speaker, and now a published author, among many other titles. She's a connector of people, a creator of meaningful strategies, and a leader with a heart that runs deep. But what makes her extraordinary isn't just the titles or the talent, it's the soul behind it all. She's the kind of person who walks in a room and instantly makes others feel seen. She leads with empathy, sharp insight, and grounded strength that challenges you in the best way to rise higher. I've witnessed her build her career with intention, pour into her blended family with grace, and bring people together through her authenticity, clarity, and purpose. And today, she's bringing all of that and more to this conversation. We're diving into what she calls the Good Girl Detox, a raw and deeply honest look at how we, especially those who strive and lead, often confuse fear for ambition, and how to begin untangling our worth from our output. I truly believe there will be many of you who see your own story reflected in this one. Mandi Moon and my friend, welcome to Leveling Up with Lindsay.
Wow, Lindsay, thank you for having me. That was so kind.
So before we dive into today's topic, which I know is going to speak to so many, I'd love for listeners to hear a little bit more about who Mandi Moon is and your background.
Yeah, I guess it's just best to start from the beginning. So the short and the long of it, maybe I'll say. So I think just like Lindsay, I think you and I connected because from a really young age, we were like little hustlers, you know, like little hustlers as like little girls selling things or doing things. And I think for me, that was always a part of my identity is kind of being a go-getter, being the smart one. And that's just something that I've kept throughout my childhood, my teenage years. I mean, again, Lindsay is like one of my best friends. And in our little friend group, we kind of always tease.
Yes.
I was like the captain of my mock trial team in high school. I was on this speech team, you know, all of the little nerdy things. But for me, it was always like, I need to do more, be more, strive more, like just that kind of drive to be the best that I could be, right? And I carried that on through my teenage years and my 20s until I had this kind of like burnout moment. I'd say I was 25. And until then, I had kind of climbed the ladder and checked off all these boxes, all these things I wanted to do. I wanted to buy a house. I wanted to have a nice car and have like the boy and the girl and the kids and all of these things. And, you know, I just remember one day looking around and being like, I have everything I ever wanted. Why the hell am I so miserable? Like, why am I so miserable? What's happening here? And then it's just this cycle of like fear, guilt, and shame. Like I've sacrificed so much to be here and I should be grateful. You know, all of this stuff. Literally just had a mental breakdown and had to go through what I now call the Good Girl Detox, which we can talk about in a bit, like what that process looks like.
What I can say is when we met the hustlers, the like born achievers that we're going to be the best at everything we do, we're going to just keep adding to our plate. For you going through this journey, I can tell from even our little best friend group, absolutely inspired each and every one of us to be more mindful. And it's kind of taught us a little bit of self-worth in that. Like you've definitely brought it to light. And there is nothing more inspiring, I think, than this story, because I think so many of us get caught up in, you know, achievement and taking things on. So that is Good Girl Detox, your journey. That's what inspired this phrase.
Yes.
Tell me more like getting out of that. Like what stopped you dead in your tracks to make you mindful? Like, I'm going to change this.
Yeah. Well, the good girl concept, I think, is something that we as natural achievers have been conditioned to be, right? For example, you know, growing up, when you're a little girl, we're taught to sit still, we're taught to be quiet, we're taught to be nice, you know, and those are all labels that we've kind of attached ourselves to. It's like, okay, if I listen, then I'm a good girl, and then I get praise and I get, you know, my worth from there. You know, if I sit still like mom told me to do or like dad told me to do, I will be a good girl, you know, and I think that gets carried out throughout our lifetime. You start out that way as a little child.
I agree.
And then all of a sudden it's like, okay, whatever labels we attach ourselves to. I'm going to give you just a real life example I'm dealing with right now. I have middle schoolers at home, and it's so crazy watching them try to find their place at the lunch table. And even though as a society or as a culture, I think we're trying to move away from labels and more acceptance, it's still in their middle school minds. Yeah, it's how they kind of process information. They have to boil it down and simplify. So they see the table with the nerds and the table with the jocks and the table with the drama kids or whatever. And they're trying to find where they fit in all of that. And for them, they figure out, okay, well, this is where I think I want to be. And it's a little bit of trial and error. But then it's like, where did they get that affirmation?
Right.
Where are they getting their good girl or good boy affirmation, from their actions? And so for me, for example, I was the smart one. So I was always driven to do things that the smart one would do because I didn't know how else to behave. I didn't know when you're given a label, it's so easy, right? To be like, okay, yes, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And again, for example, like my sister and I are very different growing up. She was always like the pretty one or the one with the attitude. And it sounds so bad saying that now, but those are the labels.
I think like siblings just give themselves.
Yes. Yeah. Like whatever feels right in the moment, wherever you're getting that affirmation. And so because we attached ourselves to those labels, we behaved accordingly and we were getting affirmation accordingly. And that sticks with you into your adulthood. And if you're not aware of where those driving forces come from, your decision making into adulthood is determined by that without you being aware. So
I love that.
So that's where the good girl concept came to be. And the detox of that is really just untangling and figuring out where those labels came from, where those driving forces are coming from, where the affirmation is coming from, and rerouting that to come from a more authentic and real place instead of constantly trying to achieve that good girl label, which again is not even, for most of us, something we do while we're aware. It just happens in the background.
I've definitely had my own come to Jesus, listening, like just with our conversations and your journey. It's crazy, actually, when you take it back. So Mandi is also an incredible brand consultant, and she has asked me some really deep questions through everything that I've brought to Way Peony and myself as a leader and just like building my confidence and strength, let's say. But a couple of questions you've asked from rooted to when I was just a little girl, it makes me think of this, like why is achievement such a thing for me? Where did this stem from? Why am I trying to break out of this shell? And ultimately, what does success mean to me? Is a huge constant question in my mind.
That's huge.
Because you get wrapped up into so many different things, especially with a new job, starting a business, as a wife, as a parent. You kind of got to ask yourself, because you get lost either in the noise or in your to-do list, what does success mean to you? So I don't know, it's just been very inspiring, the journey with you. And that last part.
I appreciate that, Lindsay. That's so sweet.
Okay.
So for me, when I had that big mental breakdown, I was like, something needed to change. And for me, my habits are always work harder, right? When I'm like, okay, something's not working, my natural instinct is to work harder. So I read every single self-help book I could find, every book on business. I tried all kinds of things, meditating, yoga, like anything that I could do to try to fix the problem. But that's actually the problem. It's like you think that you need to do more. And I think as an American culture, and especially like women in business, we've been told that we just need to do more, right? We need to do more, be more in order to be successful. And I think that has helped us in a lot of ways. We've gotten to a certain point because of our work ethic,
absolutely, because
of our hustle, but that can only take you so far before you burn out, before you're like, this is not sustainable. So I hit that point. I went through a crazy, messy divorce. I quit my job. I tried to start a business, and I'm like spiraling and running around like a crazy person, right? And I had to take a step back and be like, okay, what really is, just like you said, Lindsay, what is success to me? And every self-help book that I ever read was like, you need to find a mentor and you need to just know yourself, right? Like, okay, like how do I know myself? What do I know? How do I figure out what that even means? Where do I even begin? I think that I have this image of myself of who I want to be and this image I've created of like success, but that's how I got in trouble to begin with. I'm like, okay, I need to have this title. I need to own these things. I need to be able to have this much in the bank. All of this to me was how I previously defined success. But if I had those things and my insides were all like
all over the place,
clearly that's not sustainable. And I was like, this sucks. This is actually not great. I don't want that. So what do I want? And for me, therapy was a breakthrough for me. Like going to see a therapist to talk about kind of the things we said, like peeling back those layers and figuring out where this all came from. Why do I have this constant self-induced anxiety about all of the things that I want to do? And for me, the driving force was always like wanting to be good, wanting to be a good girl, wanting to do what's right, wanting to, just be okay. And when I said that, I was like, oh, be okay. What does that mean for me? What does be okay mean? I think I grew up in kind of a space of not stability, right? There was kind of like all of this up and down and a kind of unknown. And so being okay to me looked like having a good job, having having
what
stability.
You pictured stability to look like.
What I thought stability would look like. But I realized that having those things doesn't actually mean that you have that internal peace, that internal stability. So I'm like, okay, if I'm chasing peace, what does that need to look like? And I think as women, we get extreme messaging too. It's like, you need to just say no, and you need to create boundaries, and you need to like not do anything, and you need to make sure you put yourself first, which I don't disagree with, but that looks like...
I love that. I love when you say extreme messaging, you just like shot me in the heart, because through going with this journey of myself, listening, talking as friends, giving advice, but receiving advice, sometimes it is really strong. And you're like, you're right. I am being too much. No, I'm not doing this. Okay, I'm supposed to, and extreme messaging, that is fantastic.
It's true.
It really is. It's kind of taking, you take a step back from this high achievement, overworking. Let's not call it chaos. But then, I don't know, some people are like, that is right. Like, you need to stand up tall. You need to say no in their face. And you're like, but do I? I don't, there's a way to go about it.
I agree. And the extreme messaging is confusing for us.
It's confusing.
We're like, yes, you need to be a good leader. You need to just all of the things that you said. You need to be loud and proud, but also like don't be too much, and don't, all of that big Barbie speech from the Barbie movie. I think that's what resonated. It resonated with a lot of women because it's all of these messages, all of this stuff that they say we're supposed to be, we're supposed to do, and we don't really have a process of figuring that out for ourselves. There's not a consistent process of like, okay, if you follow these steps, you're going to find peace.
Right.
But for me, that's what the Good Girl Detox is about. And I don't want to say like, because you go through this detox, you're going to just be immediately at peace and you're going to be doing less or doing more. It's more about understanding your motivations behind decision making so you can make really good, sound, consistent decisions for yourself and for the life that you're building.
I think it's consistent work.
Yes.
It's a work in progress. Absolutely. It's a journey. I think we've said that. I've said journey in almost every darn episode that I've recorded so far. But I love it. Almost gave me a sense of like relief when you talked about extreme messaging, because I'm like, okay, I have Lindsay that's wired this way. I have Lindsay who is like trying to be more open in the universe, trying to like figure out my deeper values even more, trying to like stand confidently in what I bring to the table and who I am. And you have people are like, like we said, that extreme messaging that kind of plays with their head a little bit. You're like, okay, should I be this? Should I do this? Should I do this? And whatever. But like, actually, it depends upon, I don't know, every phase of your life.
Yes.
And it's constant little work.
Yes. Consistent work. And so the Good Girl Detox for me is just all it really boils down to is a decision-making filter. How am I going to make decisions from now on? So you really have to, like we've talked about, peel back the layers. I had to go through a mental breakdown in order to decide that it is time. I hope that people listening don't have to wait till that point. You can just decide. You can just start.
Sure.
It doesn't, again, have to be this extreme life change. All it is just self-awareness during little decisions. I'll just give an example of at work. I was working so hard. I had 2 kids and I worked like crazy when I was back in corporate America, which feels like a million years ago.
It does. It wasn't that long ago.
It really was.
But I mean, I guess in the grand scheme of all that has been done and accomplished, just like moments, it was a long time ago. It's a little bit of both, right?
It's both. But I had just had 2 kids, and I had in my mind that having kids is not going to affect the kind of good worker that I am. I'm going to be a good worker, right? And so I was bringing my kids to the office. I was staying late. I was doing everything I had to do in order to get this specific promotion because I had in my mind that A, I deserve the promotion, B, like this extra money and this is going to help like my kids, I had every excuse. If I would have stepped back and taken a look at what the job was and what I was doing, if I were to ask myself, does this job align with my personal values? Am I adding value here in a way that makes me at peace and happy? The answer would be no. It was a bad fit, which is why no matter how hard I worked, it just wasn't a good fit. It wasn't right. And so I think all I really mean when I say the good girl detox is when you're working so hard and striving so hard for something is to take a step back and say, what is really important to me? Is this action aligning with that? And if not, how can we pivot slightly? And sometimes it's not even a physical action. Sometimes it's just your way of thinking. For example, the laundry. If I were to ask myself, do I really want to be doing this? The answer is always no. We have 5 kids. We have an insane amount of laundry in our house.
I get Snapchats every once in a while. I just love that.
The laundry is crazy. But so does doing this action align with my values? I could like make all kinds of excuses for myself. I could say, like Tara was saying, it's like, no, the kids have to do the laundry themselves. Or I could spiral and say, oh my gosh, if I make the kids do this, then I'm just going to have to, all of the anxious worry things. But for me, I can say like my value is to really take care of my kids. It's important for me that my kids feel like taken care of. Can I do this action without being resentful of it later? Like, can I do this action? And what do I need to do in order to be at peace with it? So for me, what that looks like is every time I have a giant ass pile of laundry and I'm like, I don't want to do it, I think, all right, I'm going to take 15 minutes. I'm going to take 20 minutes. And this is going to be an exercise of intention and gratitude for each of the kids. So I take off their clothes and I think good thoughts when I'm folding their clothes. Like, I hope Lainey has an exciting day, an exciting week, and a fulfilling like future. Like, every little piece of, so then I feel at least like, that what would we call it, Lindsay? That like productive part of us, like we're doing something with intention and also things are getting done. I feel good about it.
We are 100% the same in that regard. We have this conversation, we do laundry like twice a day at our house, but it's one thing to have it all clean and whatever. It's another thing to like put it back organized in your closet. That to me, I'm like, I have so many clothes, obviously owning a boutique, but I'm like, okay, Lindsay, you are going to spend time on this. And when you said, I thought that's a great idea when you said speak like positivity into your mind when you're doing this. And I was like, actually, you know what I do? I put my clothes away because I always like color code or like I have a color coded, but then I have it like blazers in one section. But where I'm getting with this is I legitimately tell myself, because I hate that chore of like, we already folded it. We already did everything. Now I have to organize and put it away. Is I say, okay, you're going to need a powerhouse outfit this week. You're leveling up. You're a leader. Like I go through all this, like my outfits, I'm speaking to them.
Yeah.
Literally. But that's
life into
I'm like, I'm doing this because I'm going to have the best week. I'm going to come prepared. I'm going to feel organized. I hate every second of that.
Oh, I hear you. And that's just, again, a way to reset your mindset, reshift that internal angst, because we very easily could be like, I could be doing all this stuff for my business right now, but I have to do laundry.
Yep.
Like, no, what are your values? What are the actions you're taking? How do they align with the life you're trying to live? For me, that was a little big one.
I think it's a little big one, because I was going to ask you, like, how did this Good Girl Detox, this whole theory shift the way you work, impact your home and everything? And you just said it right there. It is the little things.
Yeah, it is
It's also how you lead. I've noticed conversations in which you've had for other business owners and even the work that you do. And I've kind of heard it there. And I think that's incredible. It's very powerful. It's like little things, but it's really big things as well.
I appreciate that, Lindsay. I think maybe it might be helpful to hear a little bit more about the detox process. Yes. What does that look like? So for me, first is you have to kind of understand that you need help, right? Like something needs to change and you want to make the change. The other thing is that you don't have to work yourself up about making this big giant change. I think that's a step that makes people not want to look at doing anything because you're like, oh, it's going to be daunting to make a change. Like, no, we just recognize that we need to make a little change and that's to happen and you want to start. And that's it. It doesn't even have to be on a Monday or the first of the month or the first of the year. It can start on a Tuesday at 2:00,
or a Thursday at who knows what.
Yes, exactly. So there are 3 steps, 3 easy steps.
The commercial voice. Okay, well, maybe we're going to make a commercial after this.
All right. So I will say that they suck, if I'm going to be honest. But again, you can take this as big or as little as you want to, right? Mm-hmm. So step 1 is the way that I like to say it is don't be afraid of the dark. I think don't be afraid of your darkness. I think as women, we are oftentimes told like we need to be bright and sunny and think positive. And if we just think positively enough, everything will work out. And not that I disagree with that, but it kind of shames us into not looking at the hard parts about ourselves.
And actually, even speaking to men, I was just thinking about that for those who just kind of put a huge, blanket or cover over their past or their deepest things. You put on the strong game face of work harder, move forward, don't show your emotions. It's uncovering.
I agree.
And being okay with it.
It's completely true for both men and women. And it does look differently for everybody. But at least for me, I didn't want to admit that I had anything shameful like inside of me, especially because my brand and my, when people look at me, it's like this bubbly energy. I didn't want to admit that I have like shame or I am fear driven or that some of my like achievements have been driven by this fear of like, if I don't get this, then I'm irrelevant or I suck or I'm not good enough or like, this is embarrassing, whatever. So that's step 1 is don't be afraid of your darkness and really commit to taking a look at your driving forces when you're going to make a decision. And again, that can be as big or as little as you want, like the laundry, right? When we have icky feelings about the laundry, can we take a step and be like, why am I feeling this way about it? Take it, again, a step deeper than, it sucks. Laundry sucks.
Where does this stem from?
Yeah, where is this stemming from? Does this suck because I think that I could be doing something else that is more productive? I think that was an issue for me. I have to be doing all this housework and I could be being a big business girl. That was the shameful part in my head. I could be doing something that proves to other people on the outside that I'm a hustler and an achiever, but now I'm stuck doing little kid laundry and that's horrible. Ew, shameful, gross. Like that was like darkness inside of me that I had to confront over something so small. Now, when you take a look at a bigger picture, when you're thinking about making a business decision, when you're thinking about how you're moving in your business or in the world, like those things come out and those consistent dark patterns, you'll be able to recognize them now.
Very true.
Call them out. So that's step 1.
1, 2.
2. This is the worst part. I'm
like actually nervous because I haven't heard like the steps. Like I've heard you talk about it, but I just got like,
Step 2 is you have to sit in it. You have to sit in the icky. And you know what? Like, for people like me and Lindsay who are just hustlers, we're like, okay, we're committing to do this process. We want to grow. We want to change. What it means then is you just get in, get out, and, change. It's just easy. Like you recognize it, you do something, you take some sort of action, and then you get better. That's how we like to operate in the world. But if you don't sit in it, if you're not like sitting and like feeling your feelings instead of just doing and moving on, you're not going to change in the long run. You might make some short-term decision changes, but your mindset and your driving forces are not going to change unless you really sit and understand yourself.
That makes a lot of sense. It really does. This is a very bad analogy, but even, with like wellness journeys, just in general, you do have to sit into why you're making decisions, like exercise decisions, eating, whatever that is. You're making decisions about you, like why.
Yeah.
Good or bad. And then you really have to even dig deep in your wellness journey. It kind of goes along with everything because if you don't, nothing is going to change, and you're going to say, I'll start on Monday or whatever that is.
On the first of the month.
There is going to... the overall change that could occur isn't gonna happen.
I agree. And I'm going to give you an example of how I experienced this in real time. Like when I was going through my messy divorce, I had Lindsay and, I had you and I had our friend group. And my natural reaction is to, when things get hard, is to find community and to find support and to run and to you guys to get through, right? Which I don't think is a bad thing. But when I'm talking about sitting in it, I was deflecting, right? I was going to you guys and saying, this is what happened, da da da. And you guys were being great friends and being like, you don't deserve that. And then
we can't have that stuff on the podcast because we're there for our girls.
Yes.
That's for sure.
And that's the kind of like affirmation I was looking for, but that's like pulling me out.
True.
That's like a quick save. That's pulling me out of my darkness, which is what friends are supposed to do, right? That's what friends do. But for me, I had to really sit in it and understand for myself without that outside distraction of really good friends. Honestly, of really good friends being supportive, but I had to understand myself, right? Yes. So for me, that was therapy. That was really like digging deep into understanding my own decision making. And I still go to my girls for hype and for encouragement when I need to.
And we go to you.
Yeah. But I at least understand where that mindset is coming from without external like quick fixes. If that makes sense.
It's kind of like, here's another analogy. I go to my mom for everything. My mom is, I'm like, I giggle. And you guys have heard the conversations with my mom, but I always say, well, that was the most mom response because she is so on board. Like my daughter, she's, awesome and amazing. And I'm like, no, I want the truth.
I want the truth.
I need the truth and I need straightforward. Actually, even with this podcast, I have a business consultant and Mandi knows it's our business dad. But
shout out to business dad.
Shout out to business dad. He's going to listen to this and he said, I'm going to listen to this on a weekly basis and I'm going to give you honest feedback. And I'm like, yes, that is what I need. So I love good friends. You have to sit in it. But like that, sometimes you have to separate yourself because you do need to like the reality of maybe something that does need to change within you. Completely love that.
Yeah. I'm going to give one more example just in case because I really want this to land with people. So while I was in process of getting divorced, me and my kids, we moved into my parents' house. And my parents, like my dad specifically, hated seeing us or me in pain. He just hated it. And so his reaction was not the same as my friend's reaction. It was more like anger. It's like, well, you need to make sure you're not doing this and da-da-da. And like, you need to make sure you're sticking up for yourself, So it came at me like I need to be doing all of these things instead of I need to be really processing or healing, And so again, all of these well-intentioned people they care about you. They don't want you to sit in the darkness, right? They don't want you to be hurting, but sometimes you have to process that for long-term growth, long-term change. So that's just another example. I try really hard not to do that to my own kids, because I hate seeing them in pain or like, so instead of saying, well, suck it up, or whatever, it's like, oh yeah, that's really hard.
When someone's going through something like that like you're going through this detox, if this resonates with you, how do you separate yourself? Like when you say sit in it, like what would you recommend? Like in my mind, it's a process. It takes a little bit of time and sometimes a long, long time. For me, I'm like driving, taking a long drive, wherever that may be, with the music off, everything, just really thinking deep, I guess. Do you think? Or what would you say I
think that it really is specific to the type of person that you are. Like if you're naturally a gatherer, right? Like we're naturally going to our girls. It might be a good time to physically separate yourself and your mind. If you're more isolated normally, like you normally process by yourself, maybe it's time to reach out to somebody.
This is incredible advice.
You have to really think about what type of support is best for you. And again, like to me, my hype team was the best, but it wasn't what I needed to process and to heal. And I'm so grateful that I had, because many people don't.
But it makes sense, and it's a straightforward, honest journey that you're speaking of, and I love that. I don't have a set time where I've like done my Good Girl Detox. I think it's been over a period of time for sure. But one of the pivotal moments when you talk about this is when I went to LA by myself, big city. I'm a Minnesota small town girl. I thought I was a city girl, by the way, when I left high school. I was like, I'm out of here. No, I love small town. I love small community. Anyways, went to LA, a little bit nervous, a lot of bit nervous. I was in my hotel, and I go there for a longer period of time just because of what needs to get done. I was there for 4 to 5 days, and Tara, one of our very best friends, literally said, Lindsay, you probably need this. You probably, and it was for other reasons, but she's like, you probably need to be in the hotel by yourself. And so funny, she just went through her own journey. But literally, I stopped dead in my tracks and I was like, she is 1000% right.
Yeah.
I'm surrounded by people. I love surrounding myself with people every day. I love people. I love connection. And I know you do as well. But in itself, with what I was kind of going through at the time, was exactly what I needed to process all the things that were happening internally.
Yeah.
It was actually, when you talk about this, that was one of my it wasn't the solve all in that week. It was not the solve all. But oh my goodness, did I find out a lot about myself sitting, for me, in a little bit of silence.
That's amazing.
I actually had some tears by myself that like no one knows about, and not a bad way, not at all. But I also had the greatest gratitude I think I've ever had too. So yeah, that was pretty pivotal.
That's amazing. And see, the more you get to know yourself, the more you can take those types of actions because you know that that's good for you. If you just would have never tried that or never done it, you wouldn't know.
Just like sat in other things, sat in the noise, like gone through that market trip, you know, running 1,000 miles an hour. My mind's full of the noise of like work, life, everything, blah, 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 blah. And instead I was sitting in a 30,000 foot view of my own self. I randomly was like, social media, someone's got to know how much feelings I'm sitting in right now. And I never really explained that, but I took a video and I was like sitting on the couch. And by the way, they upgraded my room at the time and it was a huge suite.
Yeah.
And I was like solo and I was like sitting around and I'm like, I feel like I'm not supposed to be here. And then I was like, I feel like I'm supposed to be here. But I took a video and I literally should write something in regards to that because it literally was one of those moments that I was like looking out at the city lights. I'm like, I know I was meant for more. What does that look like? What's holding me back? Why am I up against myself? What are the things that are making me feel uncomfortable? What are the things that fulfill me? Why am I so full of gratitude? Who is in, it was so many things. So that was really, but I was mindful. I like let it happen.
Yeah.
And that was super important.
That's amazing, Lindsay. I love that for you.
So number 1, 2.
Don't be afraid of the dark. Number 2, sit in it. Sit in the dark. It's scary and it sucks. And sometimes you have to go it. When I say alone, I also mean maybe with the help of a professional like a therapist.
I agree. I think everyone could benefit talking.
I am a huge advocate.
I agree.
Huge advocate of therapy. It's been, I think if anything could be the one thing that has helped me, it's that, having somebody on the outside.
Even personally, professionally, for a bajillion different reasons. Actually, someone had said to me, Lindsay, the biggest CEOs, the best business owners, because you're trying to prove everything.
Yeah.
So on a professional level, they're like, stop. Just so you know, the very best of the best have someone they go talk to get you, because there's just to process emotions. But anyways.
I mean, extreme athletes, everybody needs a coach.
Yes.
Everybody needs a coach. So number 3 is the fun part for you and I, because we like to take action. So number 3 is, I say, unleash. Now that you have faced your most like shameful things, you've faced all of that darkness inside of you, you sat in it and you really feel it and you understand it. Now you have that filter. You have that decision-making filter. So when a project comes up and normal you would be like, I have to do this because if I don't do this now, I'm going to lose this opportunity. All of the anxiety of making the decision, you can step back and say, hey, like, what is my driving force behind wanting to do this? Is this fear? Like, is this fear? And you can feel it in your body. I now only make decisions that I know will bring me peace. Peace versus fear. The unleash part is the best because now you've created a filter for yourself and you can really make decisions moving forward to change your life so that you can live the life that you really actually want to be living. And so for me, what that looked like before is I was saying yes to everything. I was doing everything, doing more. I could never, how do you say no? This opportunity might not ever happen again. Yeah. But the life I've built for myself now is like, does this have to happen right now? Does this feel good right now? And a lot of the times it's like, no, actually, it can wait. Or, you know, this is not quite right yet. Not quite right yet for one reason or another. And because of that filter, I would say the last few years for me, all of the right things are finding me. And it's shocking. It's shocking. I'm like, oh, look at me not having to hustle and like kill my self, trying to do all the things and be everything to everyone, but still all of the right things are finding me. And I am just so excited for all of the projects that we have in the works and for all the things that are happening.
And where you are today compared to, let's say 3 years ago.
3 years ago.
Even simple, or 5.
Yeah.
Call it what you wish. I would think that what you define success is a lot different today as it was even then. What does success mean to Mandi now? Because I'm sure that looked a lot different 3-5 years ago. Definitely longer than that too. But going through this Good Girl Detox journey, it's got to look a lot different now than it did.
Oh, yeah. Success for me, if I think of 15-year-old Mandi and what she would assume that 36-year-old Mandi would be doing, I think she would be shocked to see my life. I have 5 kids. She'd be like, what are you doing, girl? What happened? What are you doing? Success for me was always like the title, the achievement, the power, the traveling, almost like the glam of being strong, independent woman. That was kind of what success was for me. And now that I've gone through this detox and I'm asking myself, like, what really is important to me? What is the life I want to live? What is the legacy I want to leave? Like, what is the story that I want people to remember about me and my influence on them and their own world? For me, it really is this idea of authentic connection. I really knew myself and I took consistent action, like predictable action. Like Mandi knows exactly who she is and she's going to act accordingly. And that can be depended on. That is, I think, what success looks like to me, is that I'm consistently acting in a way that feels peaceful, that feels right to me. And I can just be loud and proud and transparent about all of those feelings and actions, and that's my day-to-day, because that to me feels the most peaceful. Whenever I'm acting or behaving in a way that I'm like, that's not right, like that is when I know that I need to take a deeper look at what's happening. That angst. That's another thing, is at the height of my like external ladder climbing, right? I had all of the check boxes, right? Check, all of this stuff. My inside was like, that feeling, that like tense, just anxious, popping Excedrin migraine all the time, just trying to get through. But today, every day, maybe that's an exaggeration. Most days I can end the day feeling peaceful. This was a good part of my journey. Like your buzzword. This is a good part of my journey.
I know, I've used that a lot today. That peace is so healthy. That's the one thing I think everyone's had their own journeys, and for my own personal, I am not living in that angst, living in that tense, living in that hustle, living in the sleep. Like, I remember if I got 6 hours sleep, it was a win for like a year straight there doing boutique and my executive career. And it's a really unhealthy. So not only is it good for you in general, but like actual health, I just think to myself, like, there was the year of last year, 2024, living in an intense state, not knowing what the economy was going to do, what the world was going to do, all the things. I just thought, like, you can't live like this. Like it doesn't,
it's not sustainable.
It doesn't feel good. It's not great, but also your health is going to plummet tremendously. That looks in so many different ways for different people, but all I know is I wanted to get rid of these eye bags. So I was like, I need
rid of the eye bags.
I want to move forward. So anyways, I definitely, finding peace in your day. It's just, it's really important for many reasons.
I think what's important to say is when you hustler women out there who can relate to what Lindsay and I are saying, I think when ambitious women hear the word peace, I think they get scared and they think like, you're trying to tell me to slow down and to not chase my dreams and to not go for it and to not do, and that's not what peace means at all. Just because you're living in peace doesn't mean you're not like quote unquote hustling, right? It's just through a different filter. Now you're understanding why you're taking the actions that you're taking. It's fitting into a bigger long-term plan. It's not just the chaos of like, if I don't do this right now, it's never going to happen.
Oh my gosh, bullseye.
So, I mean, I think Lindsay and I can both say, like, for me, my life has not slowed down, right? I was still like running and moving, but it just feels
practice.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Every single kid has their own thing. It's just wonderful, right? Wonderful and crazy at the same time. So just because we're talking about peace doesn't mean we're talking about what is the mediocrity. Just because we're talking about peace doesn't mean we're talking about just being boring and lame and mediocre.
Amen to that. And actually, if you would have said that to Hustle Lindsay, 6 years ago, let's say when I started this business, I would have got scared from that. You're right. Now it's finding peace. Anything that brings you peace and joy and zen.
That is one of my Good Girl Detox labels that I had to shed for myself, is just because I'm not stressed. If I'm not stressed, that means I'm not working hard enough. That was like a label I had to get rid of. Stress does not equal a pat on the back. Stress is not a badge of honor. It's not meaning that you're doing the right thing, which I think as a teenager especially, I believed that. If I'm not stressed, I'm not pushing myself hard enough. And that's just untrue.
That is so good. So I have to bring it now to something that I think has been, the universe has had this in the making for so long without you ever knowing that this was in your cards or in your future or anything like that. But I have a book in front of me right now, and it's called the Tater Tot Tradition. And it is one of the most incredible things I think that Mandi has put together to date. But you said you have 5 kids.
Yes.
So
in our blended family.
In your blended family. And you put a children's book together about this. It has been one of the most special things to witness. You know, my dear friend, I just see you glow different, happier. You have found someone like your absolute match, and just like how you guys go to sports together and the kids love each other. You deserve it. But then you go and freaking write a children's book about it. It's amazing. So just give us a glimpse into the life of Mandi with 5 kids.
Well, yes. Well, I will say the story in and of itself is actually a part of my own Good Girl Detox, right? So I've had in my mind that I wanted to write this big, serious, professional book about, you know, what I've been speaking about and consulting about. And I put so much pressure on myself to get this book out, right? But my life is had all these twists and turns and all these unexpected experiences. And every single time I think that I'm close to having the right book, right, my perspective changes and I'm like, So I put so much pressure on myself to write this big, fancy, important book. And I was like, I need to release the pressure. I need to just go through the process of writing something and seeing what that's like. I always learn best through doing anyway. And so I literally just wrote the story of how me, Xander, and Lainey, my 2 kids, met Ben and Henrik, Stella, Scarlett, his 3 kids for the very first time. It was about Ben making tater tot hot dish for dinner. The most Minnesota thing ever. And so I just wrote the story. It literally took me an hour to write it because it's true. It's just the true story. It's how it happened. And I've told this story to friends and family a million times. I hired an illustrator and went through the process. And I really honestly just thought it was going to be a family project, but it kind of blew up a little bit. It hit number 13 on the bestseller list for family and relationships, which I was like, oh, so shocking. So I'm very excited about it. The kids are excited about it. It's fun having our story, out there and having the kids be super proud and not embarrassed of it, but, honestly. But yeah, I mean, there were a lot of dynamics to blending our family together, but honestly, I don't think that we could have, it's truly best case scenario. The kids are at a really good age. They all really liked each other right away. It was just a matter of figuring out logistics and that sort of thing. But we are honestly very lucky.
It's been really special to watch your kids too, and their connection right away, and their connection to Ben and vice versa. The process that your kids going, like what you involve them in, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
With this is so neat. Like you guys, if you open the beginning of the book, she's got signatures from each of the kiddos. They did their book signing. Is that how it went?
Yes. So, I mean, character signings or whatever. And so we are planning on some local in-person events. Absolutely. And all of the kids are very involved in coming and signing on the things. But they were, very, very involved throughout the whole process. I wanted to make sure I was representing them and their feelings properly throughout the process because I just wrote it from my perspective and from what I assumed they were going through when we decided to blend our families together. So to get the affirmation from them that they were like, yes, this is exactly how we felt, and it's been really special. And of course, they had all of their opinions about the characters. Henrik specifically asked me if he could make his biceps bigger.
Oh, I love that. Okay. What about Lainey? Did Lainey have any input?
Oh, she just wanted to make sure that she was in pink and that her stuffed pig was included in the story, which it definitely is. Yes. Like, you can't go anywhere without or do anything without Lainey and her stuffed pig. So
incredible.
Yeah.
So incredible. Your families came together through this entire achievement journey
Yes.
The Good Girl Detox.
Yes, I would say definitely. And what I will say about, the hardships of a blended family, there's a lot. There's a lot of parenting and kids and chaos and all of this stuff. But for me, going through this detox and meeting a partner like Ben, that has been very transformative for me as well. So Ben is naturally calm, cool, collected, right? He's naturally very calm in the chaos. He's a firefighter, so even his job is like, unknown and chaos all the time. His personality is just really fit for that. But he's also a dreamer as well. And we also both very much value time together and family. So watching him navigate all of that and him just really be true to himself and his values, that was very inspiring for me. I'm like, I admire that and I want to embody that in my own decision making. So yes, I mean, not only the kids have been such an instrumental part of my growth in being the mom I want to be, the person I want to be, but also watching a partner like Ben. I'm like, I admire these qualities and I want to adopt them. And that's been just great for my personal peace and building the life I want to live.
I love that. Well, what I will say is Mandi has been an incredible inspiration and actually incredibly, for myself, an incredibly pivotal for me as a leader. I went through a big transition of going from my executive career to flying on my own in the business world, but coming together as far as confidence and walking on my own and holding true to my own values and whatnot. So I will say this is so special for me, and I hope we have more conversations together behind the microphone. I just asked that now.
Yeah.
I'm just going to plug that now because I absolutely love talking with Mandi, of course, is a friend on a personal level, but she is one of or is my favorite when it comes to business talk, leadership talk. We both get so involved. But one thing I did want to do is, because Mandi is so special to me and to others, I reached out to two of our other very best friends and I asked them 2 questions. And I thought this would be really awesome to end this episode, like who Mandi is to us and what she means to us.
Oh my gosh, why am I scared?
I know. And normal Mandi, old Mandi would never get emotional and she'd probably be like, what the heck? And now, no, I'm just kidding. You don't need to get emotional. But so I was like, number 1, quick, let's throw this in there. How would you describe Mandi? And actually, I was going to even put my own separate thing into words. I think with the intro and everything, I think I've talked about a little bit. And so how do you describe Mandi? She's the kind of person who lights up every room she walks into. Fun, charismatic, and effortlessly magnetic. Mandi has a presence that draws people in. She's bold in the best way, never afraid to speak her mind and chase what she wants. Behind that radiant energy, she's a fiercely hardworking soul who leads with passion and with heart. Mandi is the ultimate hype girl. I've never met anyone who shows so much support to all of her family and friends. She's the one who always shows up. She wants everyone to win and goes out of her way to help make it happen. She's driven, reliable, and an amazing human.
That is so sweet.
But I'm not done yet.
Oh, God.
So what does Mandi mean to you? Mandi is one of my closest friends. We've been through a lot of ups and downs together, and I trust her with anything and everything. She's one of those rare humans I can sit in silence with and feel 100% comfortable around. I love her, and seeing her so happy with her family life makes me so happy. She deserves the world. She's been a constant through so many seasons of life, from navigating motherhood to standing strong as coworkers in a fierce, male-dominated world. Together, we've tackled the roller coaster of self-employment and embraced the chaos of becoming our own bosses in our own unique ways. Through it all, Mandi has been one of my greatest supporters, my ultimate hype girl, my steady anchor, and someone I can lean on in celebration and in the storms. Her presence in my life is powerful, grounding, and deeply appreciated.
Oh my gosh.
So
that's
here's
very kind.
But I'm going to wrap up with that. Everyone needs to find themselves a Mandi. And if you don't have that in your life, how can they find you? No,
Yeah, you can
truly. On social media and all of that, I hope that you will follow. You have so much going on with family right now, but I hope that you follow Mandi as a freaking power horse of a leader. I personally know there is a lot in the works right now.
There's a lot in the works.
There's a huge future, big move that is coming.
Stay tuned.
But if anybody wants wants to see, wants to follow, wants to hear what you have going on, wants to be inspired and motivated, where can they find you?
Yes, I am most active on Instagram. So at Mandi Moon Consulting, or you can Facebook friend me because I'm a millennial.
Yeah,
that too.
Amen to that.
Yeah.
And you're going crazy with LinkedIn right now. And I'm like, I have to.
On the LinkedIn.
On the LinkedIn. And where can they find your book?
Right now, you can go to barnesandnoble.com or on Amazon. A Tater Tot Tradition, a blended family story by M. Moon. You can find it. So,
Mic drop.
it's very special. I'm very excited about it.
I love it. Well, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for listening. If you found this information helpful, please share it with a friend. If you're looking for more information on the topics we covered, please head to the show notes below. And if you wouldn't mind leaving a 5-star rating and review, this would help this mission and our journey to get started. Let's make today and every day an opportunity to level up. Until next time, keep dreaming, keep striving, and keep making a difference.